Hello everyone. Before we get started, I just want to let you guys know that I have literally 8 subscribers and I'm not forcing you to do anything. It's utterly up to you, but I'm going to be going a little crazy mode on this platform very shortly. So I think I really suggest I would urge you to get in while the going is good, because I've got some super lovely stuff planned for the channel and quite a few interesting things. So not forcing you by any means, just click the bloody button. All right, so here we have my motorcycle brand philosophy tier list. What do I mean by brand philosophy? Well, brand philosophy is, according to me, the general ethos of a brand that informs all the decisions that a brand takes. And it influences factors like reliability, design, engineering choices, and innovations. So we have this is probably the most comprehensive motorcycle tier list that is on YouTube right now. It's got 34 brands. A lot of them are lesser known brands, but I've essentially, my criteria for collecting the brands has been to look for brands that have somewhat of a global influence and are relatively well known and are selling in multiple markets. I try to avoid brands that are too boutique or too fancy or do one-off creations. There's a few slightly boutique brands in there, but I've included them because I think they're extremely relevant to the pulse of the market, so to say. So, coming back to the tier list, we have 34 brands, and we have this whole tier list in front of us. And the very low bottom, we have I wish bankruptcy upon them. These are brands that are not only not contributing to the culture as a whole, but rather dragging it back for their own purposes. So these are brands that are actively damaging and hurting motorcycle development and engineering. Backwards, boring, dull, uninspiring. This is the next tier, and it will have brands that just don't do anything to me or anybody else really. They're like a dry desert. So these are going to be brands that make our pants very dry as motorcycle enthusiasts. Solid blokes, of course. As the name suggests, these are brands that are quite solid, not too good, not too bad, just right. Coming here, we have brands that are potential forces to be reckoned with. These are brands that are not quite there yet, but they're slowly rising up the ranks and they are showing promise for the future. Perhaps pushing the envelope. These are brands that are starting to push the envelope in terms of their brand philosophy and what they stand for. Perpetually redefining the game. These are brands that are known, have been known for a while, and continue to redefine what motorcycles mean to people and what they can do as a matter of performance. The absolute pinnacle of human achievement on two wheels. These are brands that, from the moment they started out, they were legendary. They are still legendary, and they will continue to be legendary no matter what happens to them. These are brands that essentially have an untouchable legacy, so to say. I will be trying to be as judicious as possible when assigning this tier. But please do bear in mind that everything expressed in this video is my own personal opinion. Of course, it says my name. But it's my own personal opinion. And it's just what I think about each brand based on my exposure, however limited, and based on my view of what motorcycles mean to me. Of course, that differs for everybody. But let's get into it. So, first off, I'm going to start from the very top of the list, Kawasaki. Well, we have, I think, one of the most well-known Japanese manufacturers here. Of course, part of the Big Four. And they have an extremely rich heritage when it comes to racing and performance motorcycles. So And of course, they developed the H2, which in itself I think is a revolution within motorcycling. Um, but I don't think they have uh, quite quite yet established their position as legendary. I think if they kept up the pace from when they manufactured the H2, if they kept the pace till present day, they would probably be considered legendary. But um, as of now, they facing quite a few issues, I believe. There is a very noticeable lag of the inclusion of technology in a lot of the motorcycles. You'll see a lot of those Ninja 400s, Ninja 500s, they still don't have the necessary electronics, I think, aside from the special edition. So Kawasaki, to me, they are starting to linger behind. So I will put them in. I'm pretty comfortable in putting them in pushing the envelope because they have a great heritage. They've done some crazy stuff, but for me, they're just not doing a good enough job of maintaining that pace. Secondly, we have a lesser known Czechoslovakian brand called Jawa. The thing with Jawa is that it's not very well known in most countries. It's primarily sold here in India, but I think globally they're not very well known, especially in the performance sector. They make these kind of budget cruiser motorcycles, retro motorcycles, and for that, they make the retro cruiser motorcycles, but I think their quality control has been much worse than almost anybody else doing retro motorcycles. And for that reason, I'm going to put them here. It's backwards, boring, dull. And also, I heard way back, this sounds ridiculous, but I heard that I heard that a lot of Jawa bikes, they don't have, like, the engine braking just stops working. Like, as in when you downshift and you leave the clutch, there's no engine braking in a lot of their models. So it's just, I don't know what place this brand has in my view of motorcycling world, or anybody else's for that matter. I don't see a singular reason why you should prefer a Jawa or a Triumph or a Royal Enfield over a Moto Guzzi. Then we have Norton. Well, Norton is a brand that I have a very limited amount of interaction with, mostly because they seem to be changing hands more often than a promiscuous woman. But obviously, Norton has a lot of nostalgia appeal. You've got the Commando and you have the current high-performance motorcycles they are bringing on, including, I think they have a V4. And they've recently been bought by TVS. It's an Indian company and it's on this list. But they've been bought by TVS, but I'm not sure how that would impact their future as we speak. With Norton, I can respect them for trying to keep up with the times and trying to perpetually redefine themselves, but I don't think they've done anything to go any higher in this tier list so far. Up next, we have Vyrus. So a lot of you might have heard of this brand. It's a small Italian brand. Of course, the owner doesn't like it being called a brand. They prefer it to be called a workshop because Vyrus does not deal with any internally made engines. They take pre-existing engines and they build a motorcycle around that engine to suit a particular customer's choice. But with Vyrus, what I can really appreciate is that I've seen some of their motorcycles. I haven't ever ridden one, but I've seen some of them, and the technology that they use seems to really push the boundaries for motorcycle development and engineering, right? And they're a very fairly new company. I believe they started in 2019. I'll correct that, but they've made some gorgeous looking bikes, and they've utilized some super cutting edge technology on the motorcycles, even though it's a boutique brand. But even a smaller brand doing things like that, I feel it pushes the entire market forward. So I'm comfortable with putting them here. I would probably like to upgrade them over here, but I'm comfortable putting them here because I think they're doing a phenomenal job, but they're still fairly new. I think back in the day, they were quite a force to be reckoned with in one of those early old-timey Grand Prix. But lately, even though they're still active, I haven't seen them do anything of note other than small supermotos, small enduros, and things like that, small capacity motorcycles. Um, I suppose their heritage does give it some value, but from what they're achieving now, I don't think it's contributing anything of value to motorcycle culture. Aprilia. Well, Aprilia, I am a little biased here. It's one of my own personal favorite brands. It's a brand that I really look up to as one of the leaders, I would say, in motorcycle development. They made I think they came out with one of the best V4s in the market currently available, and a V4 which has been available for a very long time, the RS V4. And I am really liking what they're doing with the smaller capacity classes, with the RS 457 and the 457. I just really respect their view on different capacities in motorcycles, and I really respect the cohesion of their brand identity. I think Aprilia always stands for a lot of performance, but not at the cost of flair and style, something which a lot of Japanese brands are guilty of. So Aprilia, I'm comfortable putting them up here, right? I think they're perpetually redefining what motorcycles mean to a lot of people, and the impact they've had with their recent targeting of the smaller capacity motorcycles. I think it's setting them up for a great future. They also make some sick scooters. I've seen those Aprilia scooters. They look really good. Then we have this company called Bajaj. A lot of you might not know about it, but Bajaj is it's a huge company. It's a megalodon, you know? It's a Goliath. It's a Goliath in the motorcycling world. They've made their fortune selling small capacity commuters in slightly less wealthy countries like India, Latin America, so on and so forth. But they've made their fortunes doing small time commuters, right? And they happen to be, I think, the second or the third largest motorcycle producer in the world, and they make decent machines. Recently, they've been trying to make high performance motorcycles, and a step in that direction has been the recent acquirement of KTM. They've acquired KTM Global. KTM was facing, many of you might know, KTM was facing a massive debt that they had to pay back. So Bajaj has helped them out with that, and now Bajaj officially owns KTM. So I'm not sure how I feel about that, because Bajaj, being an Indian brand, still has some cultural values that would be really hard for it to leave behind as it enters the world of high performance motorcycles. But I think they might be a potential force to be reckoned with in the future. You can't really compete with the economy of scale that Bajaj has, or any other Indian brand for that matter, because when you're accommodating such a large amount of people, and even if that accommodation works decently well, there's a lot of money to be made there. We have this knockoff brand. The reason I call it a knockoff brand, because it's another one of those old Italian houses that used to be worth something, but they were bought by some Chinese conglomerate and now push out cheap semi-performance bikes. And I say semi-performance because you're only getting performance until it breaks down. Benelli bikes are, how do I say this? I think they make some of the cheapest inline fours on the market right now. And that's about it. They make high capacity bikes for a very, 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 very low cost and make people feel good about themselves. Benelli is owned by Kinjiang. They operate on the philosophy of undercutting the market at any cost possible, not to be discriminatory towards China or Chinese products or Chinese people, but I will have to put it here. I don't like brands like that. And I wish bankruptcy upon them. We have Bimota, so another boutique Italian manufacturer. This one, I'm just gonna have to put them here because Massimo Tamburini, one of the greatest motorcycle designers of all time, one of the greatest designers of all time, full stop. So just out of respect for that, I'm going to have to put it here. Up next we have, hello, this is Edit Udayveer, and I take absolutely no pleasure in announcing that we have come to the end of part 1. I'm going through 34 motorcycle brands here and yapping about each of them, so it was a very long video and I had to cut it in half and make 2 parts out of it, lest YouTube beheads me for making a video longer than most people's attention spans can tolerate. But that's okay. This is part 1. Let me know if you like it, and if I get some good feedback, maybe we'll come up with part 2. Thank you so much.